was wrong up in my but I wasn't wrong up in my
It's Sincerely Nikki, back with another post. I just kind of wanted to go over a topic that it seems like a lot of women are kind of inquiring about or have been lately, who are going through IVF, and it's the HSG test. And I personally experienced the test, having to take the test when I went to the CNY Fertility in Atlanta. And it seems like it's kind of like somewhat a part of the whole pre-screening process, just to see your overall uterus and fallopian tube health, to kind of see, just kind of check on the area to see if you are clear to have a healthy pregnancy, hold a healthy pregnancy, that whole sort of thing. And so I was completely unaware of that whole pre-screening. I'd seen it on the website, and I think when you on the IVF website for CNY, and they also give you, like, when you call in and you go through the what do you call it, the process to begin your journey through IVF. And one of the main things that you have to do is kind of go in for a consultation, or a phone consultation when you go through this particular doctor. And actually, a lot of doctors, one of their preferred requirements, some doctors won't even, from my understanding, see you unless you have some type of pre-screenings, health screenings. And HSG is definitely one of them. So, with that being said, I'd never had one. Didn't even I didn't pay no attention to it, because I thought that I could just kind of like decline it. And when you can, from my understanding, in particular through CNY. Now, again, through other doctors, I'm not sure. But I didn't decline it. I actually decided, well, since I flew into Atlanta from Houston, Texas to Atlanta, and they offered it to me and said, hey, it's a lot cheaper if you go through us with this. And since they had already told me that I had low AMH at that time, I figured I might as well just do this pre-screening too, just to kind of see if I have any other underlying health conditions that I have no idea about. So I did. And so I think it was a couple of $100, $150 or something like that through CNY. But she said it would be a lot more if I had gone through like another RE or someone in my Houston local area. So I did that. And she was just like, okay. She told me, she had already kind of like pre-warned me. She's like, look, from my understanding, the average woman kind of complains of some type of discomfort during the process. But I wanted to just kind of let you know. And, so you can kind of already somewhat be mentally prepared for the process. So I'm like, okay, cool. That kind of freaked me out. But me had gone through 4 births, cesarean pain, 10 centimeter pain, I figure, okay, I should be okay, right? So, nerved me the hell out. Nerved me the hell out. So she basically took me into the room after I had done all of the consultation for CNY Fertility to get started with the process. She was like, okay, so we're gonna go in this room. She told me to go into a room, and pretty much you're laying there like you're having a pap smear. Same layout, except there's like an ultrasound machine that's next to you with the screen. And so, they came in, and I don't know if any of you guys have been to the CNY Atlanta location, but they are so funny. Like, I love them there. If I lived in or really close to Atlanta, dude, I promise I would drive there all the time to go and do all of my monitoring and things, right? But since I'm not, whatever. But I enjoyed it. It was a nice experience. So they came in kind of like dancing. I mean, it was cool. It was a real cool experience. We laughed, and I think she asked if they could bring in some I guess some interns or whatever, a couple of interns, and I was cool with it. They were women, and I'm like, that's fine. So they came in, and yeah, I laid there. Well, they put like some little paddings underneath, some type of like just for extra leakage or whatever. Okay, this is a little bit graphic, but not too much. And so I laid there, legs open, just like you're going for a pap smear again. And so then what freaked me out because she was trying to explain to me the process that they're going to use saline to inject into your uterus and just kind of like watch the flow of it and it kind of highlights or outlines your uterus through the fallopian tubes, that whole thing, right? And so she said that way we're able to kind of see what's going on with your body and try to see that if you have any kind of problems or underlying issues. So I was like, okay. So, dude, this long, um, which I later found out. Well, she told me then, but it was a camera. Okay, but I'm thinking like, dude, this is like a huge long needle. You know, I mean, it's pretty skinny, and it's long, and it's kind of clear like a needle. So I saw that and I'm like, where is that going? And she's like, oh no, that goes inside of you, that goes up you. It's a camera. I'm like, okay. And she said we also, through that we insert the saline. It's really creepy when you look at it. Okay, you're thinking like this little skinny needle going up in me. Yeah. So she had already told me it was painful, so I didn't know what to expect. I think, okay, so I'll give you my experience in a second, but I think, it just freaks me out overall, the thought of it and the sight of that. So she started inserting it. So she's going through with the camera, and you can see it on the screen to the right or left of you, depending on where you are. And she's looking through, and she's like, okay, I'm about to start injecting the saline. So it's like this little warm substance, and you can feel that. And she's just kind of going through, and it's about, I would say, about 3 to 5 minute process. It's not really like, it doesn't take that much time, but every second counts when you're in pain or you're uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that process lasted for about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, she was done. Okay. The results for me were that all that they found, everything looked good. All that they found was a cyst on, again, if you've seen any of my previous videos, on my left ovary. Okay. Which is this infamous cyst that is always there. So, so it's like, okay, cool. She was just like, it's not nothing really to be concerned with because it's not that large, blah, blah. So that was pretty much it. She said everything else looked good. So yay for me, right? Okay, so my overall experience of it, like, how did I feel? I was initially scared. I felt like I was just uncomfortable. Okay, did I feel a lot of pain here and there when you kind of maneuver around throughout the fallopian tubes? You can feel that saline kind of going through. It's airy a little bit, so it's kind of like, how you have gas pains. You feel that kind of pain. You feel a warmness, a sense of warmth kind of going through your body as well. You feel the camera, like that little needle thing, lightly, but you feel something kind of maneuvering through. Okay. Now, for me, because I didn't have any issues, there wasn't no blockage, nothing that they were concerned with. It was an overall decent experience. Like, it was just uncomfortable. Not painful, uncomfortable. But for women who have endometriosis, other problems that tubal blockage, like fallopian tube blockage, polyps, things of those sorts, dry blood, from my understanding, is another one. You'll feel more pain. Okay, because a lot of times, if it's a really small job and you just have a little minute problem, they'll get rid of it while they're in there. I mean, some of them, especially like I said, again, if it's not that big of a deal, right? So I've heard of some women, they go in with the camera, they squirt the saline in, and then they notice, oh, you have some dried up blood, like in your going through, like throughout your fallopian tubes or something, right? They'll just go in and kind of like scrape it and clean it, and that's very uncomfortable. So it just depends on your experience. It depends on your body composition. Everybody is built different. That whole body, that lower body there. I mean, it just depends on your body. That's one thing. Number two is, for me, I feel like you'll feel more discomfort is, again, because of you having some type of issue. Like if they notice one little, a few polyps that's small and minute that they can kind of get rid of, they'll get rid of that there. Like I said, the dried up blood, I've heard that they do that right away. If it's anything that's blocking it, it could be painful because they're removing whatever's in the tubes or whatever's blocking your whole process, that could cause you to not conceive or hold a child. So, yeah, I would say those are probably the top two issues. Now, what I would recommend going in, had I not experienced, well, I'll put it like this. Bottom line is, go in with have taken at least an hour. I would say an hour and a half or so before you're going to do the procedure. Go in with some type of pain medication. Some type of pain medication. If you can go in with some pain medication, your favorite pain medication, I wouldn't say something that's like, crazy, but like a strong Motrin or ibuprofen or something like that. If you could go in like that, you're good to go. And take it an hour and a half or so before. And again, unless you have some major issues and you're in pain, I mean, yeah, you have blocked tubes or something like that, you're gonna have a different experience. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I personally experienced. It was just very discomforting, uncomfortable for me. But like if you read other reviews or even check out other reviews, some women will say this was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Your body is different from mine. You know what I mean? You may have some type of, health problem that they had to kind of go in and maneuver through or clear out, Yeah, so I don't know, I just kind of want to give you my experience of the HSG test. And yeah, I mean, tell me what you guys thought of your experience if you have experienced it. And if you plan to take that, which I recommend because that's a good test. I would say if you're able to decline certain pre-screenings, I would say go in knowing your AMH, your FSH. Those are just the top two. It's good to know beforehand, and I'm sure a lot of REs just automatically test you for these things, but it's just definitely something to kind of know your status on. But also, I would suggest taking the HSG so that you kind of know how well you're able to hold that child if you're healthy internally and prepared for that. That's my suggestions. I'm not a doctor, so please don't quote me on anything, but that's just my personal experience. And now that I've experienced it, now that I know what I know, that's what I personally would recommend. So yeah, thanks for watching. Definitely, if you have not subscribe because I have quite a few things coming up. Definitely next week I'll be starting my IVF cycle, so I'll be having videos regarding the whole process and my experiences. I also will be getting my local monitoring, so I'll be videoing that. Just definitely follow up and follow me, okay? Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, and I will see you soon. All right, bye.